I'm now joined by Jaime Rojas of Rojas Communications Group, based out of California in the United States. Jaime, you're very welcome to the Public Sector Marketing Show.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Joanna. It's a great pleasure to finally connect with your audience.
So we've been speaking to each other for almost a year at this stage, and all of those conversations are going to culminate in a very exciting collaboration. But I'm not going to tell our viewers and listeners what that collaboration is just yet. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Definitely. Rojas Communications Group, we're based in Los Angeles, with offices throughout not only California, but the United States as well. We are a communications firm that does three things and three things well: PR, marketing, and public affairs. And our clientele are local governments, trade associations, and businesses from all types, big and small, whoever needs any type of our services.
So we're going to talk specifically about social media in local, state, and federal government, but from a US perspective. You know me from the internet and from social media. That's how we found each other. And that's one of my specialist topics. So I'd really like to know, we're post election in the United States. What's the general mood? And obviously, we're still going through a pandemic as well. What's the general mood online among citizens towards their local, their state, their federal, and indeed the office of the president over there?
Well, on behalf of the citizens of the United States, I want to ask for forgiveness and watching our mess unfold in front of the international eyes. But you're seeing actually democracy at its best. The founders of our Constitution of over 200 years couldn't imagine this, but I think they did in worst case scenarios. It's being tested in all aspects of local, state, and federal level. The Constitution, we're seeing how communication plays an essential role on all three levels of governments here in the United States, and for that matter, the whole world. Post-election, I mean, we saw, unfortunately, social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and others who unfortunately didn't control truth and factual information. With Twitter, as well as other platforms shutting down, our previous president that ability was able to stop a lot of the negative and fake information that was being portrayed out to many Americans throughout the United States. One of the biggest problems we have here is the lack of just basic civic understanding of how government works on all three levels, and basically not many of them not even understanding. I've read the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. So a lot of this misinformation, it has to go back to Civics 101. And again, it has to go with building community, and you build community through communication.
Yeah. And, you know, perception is reality in the mind of a citizen. Do you think then that the responsibility for Civics 101, apart from personal responsibility, but do you think that responsibility goes back on our government or indeed your government institutions?
It goes hand in hand. I think, we elected officials to the offices and responsibilities at hand. But at the same time, it's the voters whose responsibility is also to learn about, who they are, what they've done, and what they're capable of doing in that specific office. If we don't take the time to read on our voter guides about certain elected officials, about ordinances, and things of that matter, the fault comes on us as the voter. We're the persons voting in these particular people, but at the same time, we have also the power to get them out in the next election. And one of the other biggest problems we have here in the United States is financial contributions, which we allow corporate companies to be able to give big dollars, and then allowing that to be a bigger voice in the megaphone of communication. But I truly believe, and we saw what just happened shortly on Wall Street here in the United States, where you had a small group, well, not a small group, a very large group of small investors who took over and pushed the price up of a few stocks, specifically GameStop, and shifted the dynamics of Wall Street. what Wall Street and those few elite investors have been doing for so long, the small investor in a large group was able to manipulate the same situation that we've been seeing in Wall Street for the beginning of time here in the United States. So by volume, we have power, and people have to realize they have a responsibility. Number one, it's a right and a privilege to be able to vote. And that right and privilege is your communication, your megaphone to be able to choose the people that you want in office.
That GameStop story made headline news over here on the other side of the Atlantic. So yeah, we're very familiar with it. Let's talk about the digital maturity then of local, state, federal government agencies in the United States. How would you describe it?
Well, Joanne, I think you and I both agree. I know I can't believe it's been a year since we've been communicating back and forth, but things progress more rapidly in the private sector for the obvious reasons. The checks and balances of government is a much slower process, but that's the reason they're there. There's checks and balances to be able to make sure things are done and done well and correctly. And so social media is one of those processes and tools that hasn't been as quickly used in the public sector as it has in the private sector. And so we have staff people who are beginning to learn, who don't have all the right tools or education in regards to using these tools. And in addition to that, government also has rules and regulations. So that kind of puts a handcuff to some of these public information officers and communication people on all three levels of government. So I think part of what we do as entrepreneurs and business owners in this space is to be able to educate them and expand their bandwidth and knowledge on how to best use these products and tools for the public sector.
And so this probably is a nice segue to reveal and unveil what our collaboration is going to be. So and perhaps some of our viewers and listeners know that I've been compiling the state of social media in government and public sector since 2018. So I've covered Ireland, Australia, and now we're going to collaborate together to have a look at 17 local and state government agencies, as well as a group of federal agencies. What was your motivation, Jaime, for reaching out to me and suggesting this collaboration, which I'm delighted to pursue?
Well, I think my motivation is and my passion, to be honest with you, is local government. I mean, having worked in a White House capacity and in different levels of government, I see how technology is the best opportunity for government to be able to get information to the masses in lightning speed. And I think watching what you've done in not only Ireland, but in other countries, I saw the opportunity that this is what we need here in the United States. I see, for example, just recently, as most of the world might have already heard, in regards to science again and misinformation about global warming, we've seen a huge deep freeze in central of the United States, particularly in Texas, where information is crucial. Crisis communication is crucial for lives and saving lives. And part of what we're doing is giving a quick analysis and breakdown on how these social medias are working, or more often not, unfortunately, not working correctly.
And effectively, as you say, it's going to be an analysis and an audit of in excess of over 500 social media accounts spanning states right across the United States of America. So we're going to be launching this report on the 24th of March. The study is going to be available free to those agencies that want to come along to our live launch. So you're going to be having your breakfast in the United States, and I'll be ready for my evening tea here in Ireland. And so we really want to kind of put out that joint invitation, don't we, to those that are interested to have a look under the bonnet of social media and local, state, and federal government in the United States. And I know that your team are working currently on doing some research, and I'll pull that research together. So it's very much a joint initiative.
Definitely. The collaboration is important. We're looking at almost 500 different accounts across the United States on all three levels of government. So it gives a good breakdown, a good analysis, almost 3 months back, to be able for us to give some real time information and feedback back to these entities, and be able to hopefully improve the resources that they have, and then go from there.
Okay, so if you are working in any element of local, state, federal government in the United States, or if you have an interest in the subject, please come along. I will share the link to accompany this broadcast, and it's absolutely free to attend. And we'd love your input. We're going to have opportunity to ask questions of myself and Jaime, and we're also going to have an expert panel also to contribute to the conversation. So from Ireland, you are welcome. And Jaime, if you want to close it off for this conversation, you're welcome.
Definitely. I mean, we welcome everyone, those across the United States and all 50 plus states, the opportunity to look at and for free an analysis of what's been happening in each of the jurisdictions in the United States. So all are welcome. A great ability to take time at no cost other than your time to see what's happening in the United States and with some great experts.
Yeah, and as always, to talk social and government, if that's your interest, then we're all winning. So thank you so much for reaching out initially, and guys, we will see you all on the 24th of March.
Definitely looking forward to it. Thank you, Joanne.